Jerry tossed and turned in bed. The night felt endless. Every corner of his room whispered terror. He had turned off the light, but it was like shadows danced on the walls. His fan began to make strange sounds. The words of Professor Esther echoed, "I am in you and you are in me." They weren't just words, they were a curse. He leapt out of bed, heart pounding. The air felt like it was choking him. Gasping, he staggered out of the room and ran barefoot to the chapel. It was 2 a.m. There, in a dimly lit empty sanctuary, he collapsed at the altar, sobbing, "God, please help me. No power of hell can pluck me out of your hands. Will you let Professor Esther?" The doors creaked open. Deborah walked in, holding a Bible and a bottle of oil. "Jerry," she said, "I had a dream. You were drowning in chains, screaming. God said tonight is your war night. We would war this together. I guess this is the help you needed from me all the while." They knelt. Deborah led the prayers. Her voice was weak at first, but soon turned into roaring declarations. She prayed like a lioness, protecting her own. Jerry began to convulse. His body twisted. A cold wind blew through the chapel. Deborah was a little terrified, but she stayed praying. Then the visions came. Professor Esther in a room full of mirrors, speaking his name backwards in incantation. Deborah in white, holding a key. A strange altar burning with a fire that screamed his name. Deborah screamed, "Break the soul tie." Jerry let out a cry so loud it shattered the silence. "Jesus, I renounce every covenant. I break every tie with darkness. I belong to Jesus." The candlelight flickered wildly. A loud sound, like a spiritual chain snapping, broke through the thin air. Jerry slumped, unconscious. He woke up hours later to Deborah wiping his forehead. "You're free," she whispered, "but the war's not over." By sunrise, a new battle had begun. Deborah was summoned by the dean. There she was, shown explicit photos, photoshopped, of her and Jerry in compromising positions. "You have until noon to confess or face expulsion," the dean warned. Jerry received a message from an unknown number. "One more word and Deborah's name is erased." Panic began to set in. He ran to Mrs. James. "I need help," Jerry said, trembling. "She's trying to destroy Deborah." Mrs. James didn't flinch. "She's losing control. That's why she's striking wild. We fight her spiritually and lawfully." They organized a midnight prayer walk with a trusted pastor and 3 believers. They fasted all day. At midnight, they walked through Jerry's room, the chapel, and the school fellowship center. Worship music played softly from a Bluetooth speaker. They prayed. They cried. They declared war. Suddenly, Jerry collapsed again. His mouth opened, but it wasn't his voice. "You dare challenge my altar?" the demonic voice bellowed. Deborah screamed and poured oil on his head. "He belongs to Jesus." The voice cried out, "She would die before next moon cycle. The crown is mine." Then the strange voice let out a loud scream. Jerry groaned at the top of his voice. His body suddenly went limp. They carried him to his room, where he rested like a man reborn. But they all knew the final showdown was coming. 2 days later, the campus erupted. Leaked voice notes, bank statements, secret code symbols, a full expose released anonymously blew up the school's group chats and Facebook pages. Students went into protest. Professors held emergency meetings. Esther's name was now toxic. At noon, the DSS stormed her office. They dragged her out in handcuffs, with her red lipstick smeared and her eyes full of fury. "This isn't over," she screamed. "I will hunt every one of you." As she passed Jerry, he said calmly, "Jesus already won." She collapsed instantly, convulsing. Her lips moved silently, her eyes turned white. She was taken to a secure medical ward. That evening, Mrs. James called in tears. "They found my husband at the market. He's lost, but he's alive." Jerry and Deborah ran there. They saw him, hair wild, barefoot, muttering to himself, surrounded by laughing market kids. But when Jerry approached, the man stopped. You gave me bread." Mrs. James wept. "He remembers." Deborah took his hand. "Let's take him home." They brought him to the chapel. The pastor returned. Worship music filled the space. Mrs. James placed a hand on his chest, Jerry on his head. "Spirit of torment, your seat is uprooted. Come out in Jesus' name." Her husband screamed. The room shook. Thunder rolled through the skies outside. Then silence. His eyes cleared. "Jane? Where am I?" "You're free," she sobbed. "You're home." In weeks that followed, Professor Esther was dismissed and remanded. Her husband joined a spiritual rehab and testified at church. Jerry became a campus evangelist again. Deborah started Hungry But Holy, a movement and mentorship circle. Their first joint message was titled "From Bondage to Burning Bush: When Hunger Meets Destiny." In the crowd, Mrs. James and her restored husband stood together, whole, smiling, and free.